I hope that you don't mind me saying this, but I'm not here to fuck spiders.
Yeah,
like this era is something that is so liberating to me because I'm talking about my truth, and I've never had the opportunity or the safe space to be able to do that.
The phenomenal Emily Wurramara has just released a brand new song called Midnight Blues. We were lucky enough to sit down for an in-depth chat with Em while she was here in the Hunter for Gumball over the weekend. I want to start off by asking a little bit about the scene that you're used to, because you've just travelled up from Tasmania today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's going on locally there?
It's getting very, very cold.
Yeah.
It's getting very cold, and we don't have a fireplace. We've only got a heater, the aircon, so that's just been 10-1 at the moment. We've all been cuddling up in bed together. I think the colours are starting to change as well. Like the scenery it's going. I would say like a gothic tropical. Like it's really beautiful, yeah. And the air at the moment is so moist, and it's so like when you step off the plane, you just feel like you're breathing, like you're actually breathing proper good air.
Yeah. Amazing. I love that. So who are some musos that you spend time around, like in your local scene?
In my local scene, I spend time around so many. I don't like to limit myself on genres or like anything. Like I've got friends who are in roots and blues. I've got friends who are in reggae. I've got friends who work in dance. I've got friends who are also like jazz artists. My best friend Alice Sky. We talk almost every day. Which is great. I love her to bits and pieces. Lately, I've just been surrounding myself with as many creative people as I can, not just within the music industry, but outside of, of it, like whether that be art or whether that be theatre or whether that be something like creative videographers, authors. I feel like I don't... As an artist, we're telling stories that are so deep and have this heavy substance to them, and are sometimes a reflection of our own lives and our own experiences, lived experiences, most importantly. And these stories that we carry, I feel like there's so much magic that comes with connection, and there's so much magic that comes with collaboration. And I think I really would love to see that more, like artists collaborating more with visual artists, or like, really expanding the creative genre and the boxes that, the industry limits us to. But a couple of like my fave artists that I do yarn with, Uncle Kutcher Edwards. So he's a beautiful, beautiful uncle. He is very much like a guide to me. I look to a lot of my elders in my community, Shelley Morris, for example, Uncle Bart Willoughby. So I mentioned Alice. Oh gosh. So Moju, she's amazing. Kait, we just recently saw each other at Panama Festival. That was really special. Claire, of course. Who else can I think of? Gosh, there's so many. Nick Littlemore from Pinyao. We yarn a bit.
You just put out a track with Pinyao, right?
Did, yes.
What was that like, getting to work on it?
Oh my gosh.
Wild.
It was weird. Like, not weird, but I feel like it's one of those like pinch me moments where you're like, I grew up listening to Pinyao. Like Wild Strawberries was my like 10-year-old jam on my Walkman. And so, I just grew up listening to him, and then all of a sudden, we connected just over here in Paradise One, actually, just not far away, out near Ballina Way. That's where we connected at the studio called Rocking Horse. And then we just kind of, kept in touch, and then he introduced me to, some artists overseas, like Reuben James, who's worked with Tori Kelly. He's worked with Sam Smith. Who else? The Q Million, who just recently won a Grammy. Amazing producer. But... yeah, look, Nick's a legend, and I think that what he does for artists is on a beautiful community level where he's collaborating, but I felt like when we were collaborating, I took so much away from that, and I learnt so much musically, but also about myself and how I see music.
Yeah, right. So when you've been collaborating, especially with, things that aren't just within the music industry, what do you feel that you've taken away that's impacted your songwriting or your sound?
I think I've taken away that everyone is a human being. Everyone has human experiences, has these feelings that sometimes we aren't in a safe space to express that or like to feel that what we're going through. And hanging around like these artists, I see that everyone's struggling. Everyone's just trying to get through. Everyone's trying to just create, because music, whatever the creative art form and expression is literally helping them get through what they need to get through, like helping them grieve, helping them heal, helping them forgive, helping them feel, most importantly. And I think that when collaboration happens outside of the space, there's just something special about tapping into someone else's frequency and them meeting you on that level, you know. There's something really sacred with connecting with spirit, because this vessel is like, you know, it's a vessel, but inside is what I think is the conduit to magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this brand new song, Midnight Blues, can you tell me a little bit about how it came about and the inspiration behind it?
So Midnight Blues is my recent single that I released, which I'm very, very excited. I've had it under my belt for like 5 years. So I'm like...
What?
Yeah, it's been like...
Why has it been in the belt for so long?
I think for me, it's one of those songs where I'm very, very vulnerable, speaking about a lot of my pain and a lot of my trauma and a lot of my experiences with my healing journey. And I think that when this song first came to like inspiration, I was at Woodford Folk Festival and I had just finished watching Electric Fields play on the amphitheatre, and I was with my mum. I was with Shelley Morris, who I mentioned earlier, one of my beautiful mentors, and randomly Tony Charles was there, and I was like, okay. And I looked at the photo like, and I was like, what? How did this happen?
Crazy.
And so we were like, just hanging around, listening to Electric Fields, and then the show ended and everyone went to the toilet and I somehow got separated from everyone and my phone was flat. So I was like, you know what, I actually haven't had time to myself to feel everything that I went through, to reflect on everything that I went through that year, because it was just so busy. You know, I'd just become a mum. I just released an album and it was doing really well, and I was just really busy with my music and being a mum that I didn't really give time to myself to feel a lot of the things I was going through. And so I was sitting at the lake down at Woodford Folk Festival, and this fella come like running. This fella just come running down the hill, and I was like, whoa, this is weird. It looked like a spirit, like this rainbow spirit, like coming towards me.
Wow.
And he was wearing like, rainbow clothes, and he was wearing like this octopus hat, like with all the, really fun stuff on it.
Stunning.
I know, I was like, gosh.
Go off.
I wish.
But what?
And he just came over to me because I was sitting there and I was just crying and letting everything out and feeling it. And he said, oh, you know, like, are you right, sis? And I was like, oh, you know, brother, Midnight Blues. And then I was like, oh, Midnight Blues. I was like, fuck. Like,
yes.
That's the song. That sums up everything that I'm feeling right now. So I went back to my tent, sat in there, just opened up my little notebook at the time, and I used to like write on GarageBand.
Yeah, wow.
And so I just laid down these like gammon 4 chords and then just like sung whatever I felt. Like I didn't hold back lyrically on this song, and the lyrics that you hear are the original lyrics that were written that night. So I just feel like I didn't want to touch it and go into it and retweak it, because I feel like truth telling is so important, but also like setting an example that vulnerability can be just as powerful.
That is so powerful and so raw. So how does it feel now performing it? Like, do you feel empowered, or is it still quite, you know, visceral, those kind of feelings?
It's still a challenge to sing about that experience. Like when I released it earlier in April, I had all these beautiful messages come to me, but I remember the week before and the week during the release, I was so sad and I was so down because this song had been my safe space for me to listen to and talk about. And I was like, now I'm sharing my safe space with others, and sometimes that's a bit scary, like opening yourself up, like literally like an open book. But I feel like, mental health is a conversation that I wish that we had yarns about when I first started in the music industry, and I wish that someone had told me that it's okay to not be okay. We live in such a world where everything is so fast and everything is just so quick, and
always got to be on it.
Yeah, you've got to be on it. And so I do feel like it's empowering me, and I feel like I'm letting go a little bit of things whenever I sing it to people and see how people like react, and like seeing people sing it at my last couple of shows, like I bawled my eyes out. I was like, this is crazy. Like I literally wrote this song about me not wanting to be here, and I'm here. And that's really special that people can connect with that. Yeah.
What do you feel's changed since you wrote that song? I feel like there's a lot to cover. It's been 5 years, but do you feel there's been a big change? Or?
Most definitely. I feel like I've grown a lot. I've had to get really uncomfortable with a lot of truths. I've had to call myself out because, who calls yourself out better than you, right? But I feel like there's a lot of growth, a lot of acceptance, a lot of unlearning as well, and relearning, especially, as a black mum living in this country. It is a challenge because you have so many things that are inflicted on you that gets passed down, and I'm just trying to break that cycle.
I feel like it'd also be really scary, being in the public eye while you are trying to, teach yourself to be a better human, as we all are,
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be challenging, but I feel like try to see people as like a human who's going through what I'm going through, and that's like I try to find something relatable to that human experience and connection and genuine, authentic relationships with people, because we're not here forever. And one of the best quotes I read in high school, and I recently just got tapped into it, randomly came up on my feed like 2 months ago. I was like, hot damn. But it was just like the more depth a person has, the more hurt they have, because you feel so deeply, and that's like there's so much love, there's so much pain. It's a juxtaposition, but it's also a combination of both. It's like this beautiful chaos that happens within every individual's life. And I think finding a healthy balance between that beauty and between that chaos, because if you have too much of one, you go crazy, right? So we need to find a healthy balance. And I think that's the way that I approach with, being in the public eye and being on social media. It can be so challenging, especially with the algorithm running things these days. I'm like, gosh, I actually put something up the other day on my thread, how I said, since when did I have to be an influencer to be a successful musician?
It's ridiculous.
It's so true. Yeah. And people were like, whoa. And I was like, no, this is a reality. Like, the game is changing. Yeah. And I think the way we connect with people authentically is changing as well, because it's so short. We have such a limited time to connect. Yes. Like 6-second reels is like,
how do you connect?
How do you connect?
6 seconds.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it's really beautiful that we can have things like this and come to festivals to meet people in real life. Like, thank gosh for that. Like, honestly, I feel like we'd go crazy if we didn't have this interaction.
Totally. Yeah. So what's the experience been like at Gumball so far?
Oh my gosh, I love Gumball. Like, we came in and I just got like good vibes. Like, had a cheeky little joke with the security guard when we came in, and I was like, I like it here. Yeah. And everyone's so friendly, and everyone is dressed so beautifully.
Stop.
No, but seriously, it's a great festival, and honestly, I'm just so stoked to be playing here for the first time.
Oh, it's so good to have you here. And finally, I'd love to know what's next for you, or what are you looking forward to?
I've got a couple of beautiful collaborations happening. I also have, new music coming out as well, which is really exciting. I'm doing some work with the Bush Music Fund, which is a not-for-profit fund that, I would say like a music director of.
Yeah,
okay. So what we do is like we help artists who are in remote communities upskill them and hopefully give them access to opportunities in the industry and around what they want to do in the industry, whether that be stage managing, whether that be, lighting. I feel like there's so much talent like in remote communities, like all across this country, even abroad. And if they're given the space and opportunity to do something, and we're there to back them and cheer them on, and show them how to also be sustainable and be healthy, because that's a really important conversation, like how to look after your financial wealth as well as your financial health, your mental health. They all link, they all join, and I think that this is really beautiful because we get to go into these communities and have not go in for like 2 weeks. Like this is like a 2-year program we're trying to still raising money for to get funding. And I think it's a really beautiful initiative. I'm really hoping that we're able to cross that and we're able to bring these young ones out of their community and just watch them shine.
It sounds like it's going to change like a whole heap of lives.
I hope so. Like I just want to be able to create a safe space, especially for mob. Like the misogyny is so real in the industry. The racism is so real. It's heavy, and we need safe spaces to have conversations within our communities and with each other, because there's not many of that.
Sorry, I feel like this is a big question, but like what do you see right now, or what do you keep coming across that you feel really needs to change? Obviously there's so much to deal with, but is there anything in particular that you're seeing right now?
That's
it's a hard one. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a very good question. Thank you. I think the way that we support each other in the industry, like I feel like community is our backbone, right? The way that we interact with our fans, the way that we interact with each other. I feel like now that I've released music, I'm suddenly in some competition. And it was never that for me. Like, it was never a competition. It was like, this is my story. I love music. I love singing. Here you go.
Yeah.
Hope you like it. Love you. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. But yeah, I think authenticity is really important, in the way that we truly tell our story is so important. I also feel like there's a lot of white men still running things, and they need to sit down. They really need to sit down and move aside, and we need to have conversation on how we're being sustainable, because this industry at the moment it's heartbreaking. It is so disheartening. And, I've got no shade to Taylor Swift. Like I just did a massive couple of Taylor Swift gig covers with Clementine Ford and like Claire Bowditch. That was wild.
Oh my gosh.
That was wild.
What a crew.
It was a very fun time. But yeah, so we've done that, and so I've got no disregard to Taylor Swift, because she's amazing at what she does, and she's setting fine examples of how to be sustainable. But our industry should focus on the artists here in this country.
Yes.
Most importantly, we need to be amplifying local voices. We need to be sharing, committing, funding, grants, being able to provide. The government at the moment really needs a big wake-up call, because the music industry generates so much for this economy, and our voices and our jobs, our careers. I know people who are no longer wanting to do music because they can't afford to pay their rent or can't afford to just be sustainable living in it. And it's something that is really affecting the mental health. Like, it's all a chain. Everything, again, is connected. And so what happens when we take art away from the artists? Like, that's the scariest thing that I can think of. Like, do not do that because, it's like, gosh, it's terrifying. So I think that, you know, we do need to put more value and love and input into our artists here in this country and showcase and explore and share. Most importantly, share. Go and like it does it's not much to just like a post, comment and be like, that's great. Get the algorithm up, because that's the only way that artists can really connect these days. Like, festivals are getting cancelled left, right and center. And I'm just so very privileged and very lucky to be here and to be able to play this stage. Like, I'm so grateful that Gumball has still, you know, is still going through and going ahead. I think that's incredible. So yeah, I think that there's so many there, but we need to invest more into our communities and our artists.
Yes. Definitely. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. It's been such an honor, and I really can't wait to see your set tonight.
Yeah, I'm really fucking nervous.
Why are you nervous?
I get really nervous, I think, because like these songs that I'm doing tonight, majority of them are the new songs off of my new record, my new project.
Yes.
And when people see me, they're like, oh my gosh, it's Emily, like, she's so cute. And I'm kind of like, you know, I hope that you don't mind me saying this, but I'm not here to fuck spiders. Like, this era is something that is so liberating to me, because I'm talking about my truth, and I've never had the opportunity or the safe space to be able to do that. And so now that I'm in control and I'm leading this next project, you know, with an amazing, incredible team behind me, who have taken me years to gather and provide like that beautiful input in my career, I just feel like this is my rock and roll ready, let's go, like time. Yeah.
I love that.
But also sit in the corner and have a cry if you want to.
Definitely will. Yeah, can't wait. That's amazing. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. That was sick. Thank you. Such a privilege.